Ladies and gentlemen, all right, listen up, because what I'm about to tell you could flip your whole life around. You know how sometimes it feels like the world is working against you? Like people, problems, and your own doubts are all teaming up to knock you down. Well, I want you to stop letting that happen right now. Because the moment you say, never allow it, you start taking back control. This isn't just some motivational talk. It's the key to living your best life with no interruptions, no disrespect, and no limits. So stick with me, because if you learn this one mindset, nobody and nothing will ever hold you back again. Let me tell you something about life and about yourself. There is a power that most people don't even realize they have. It's the power of setting boundaries and refusing to allow certain things to enter your mind, your heart, or your life. When I say never allow it, I'm talking about developing a strong sense of what you will and will not tolerate. Because if you don't do that, people will walk all over you. Negativity will invade your peace, and your dreams will stay stuck on pause. The first step to taking control of your life is recognizing that you have the right and the responsibility to protect your energy and your time. You have to be clear about what behaviors, thoughts, and influences you will not allow. It starts with self-respect. When you respect yourself, you set the tone for how others should treat you. Imagine walking into a room and just carrying yourself with confidence, knowing you will not accept disrespect, nonsense, or energy that drags you down. People will pick up on that energy immediately. You will not be the person who shrinks to make others comfortable or who lets toxic attitudes chip away at your confidence. Instead, you will be the person who stands firm, holds their ground, and says, "This is my space, my time, my life, and I will not allow negativity here." This is not about being rude or confrontational. It's about protecting your peace and your potential. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly should I never allow? The truth is, it varies from person to person. For some, it's negative people who constantly complain and drain energy. For others, it's bad habits like procrastination or self-doubt. Maybe it's the fear of failure that keeps creeping into your mind and telling you to quit before you even try. Whatever it is, if it's stopping you from moving forward, it's time to shut the door on it. This is the kind of refusal that changes your life. When you stop allowing excuses, distractions, and toxic influences, you make room for growth, success, and joy. Think about your relationships. Do you allow people to talk down to you? Do you let friends or family members treat you poorly or take you for granted? Maybe you think it's just how things are, but I'm telling you, don't allow it. You deserve respect and kindness. If someone continuously disrespects you, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their limitations. When you decide not to allow that behavior, you send a message to everyone around you that you are serious about how you want to be treated. That kind of boundary is powerful, and it attracts the right people who uplift you instead of dragging you down. It's also important to understand that saying never allow it means you become the gatekeeper of your own mind. Too often, we allow negative thoughts to take root. Thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve happiness, or I'll never make it. These thoughts are poison, and they come from doubt, fear, or past failures. You have to recognize when these thoughts creep in and refuse to entertain them. Don't argue with them. Don't feed them. Just don't allow them a place in your mind. Instead, replace them with positive affirmations, goals, and reminders of your worth and your power. Your mind is your battlefield, and if you don't control what you allow in there, those negative thoughts will win every time. Another area where this mindset makes a huge difference is in your habits and daily choices. Are you allowing distractions to steal your focus? Are you allowing laziness to keep you from pushing toward your goals. You have to be strict with yourself. You have to be willing to say, no, I'm not going to allow myself to waste time scrolling on my phone or doubting my abilities. Every time you make a choice to protect your time and energy, you get closer to the life you want. This is what separates people who succeed from those who just dream about success. The successful people never allow distractions or excuses to take over their day. They guard their time and energy like it's the most precious thing they have, because it is. And here's the truth that many people don't want to hear: saying, never allow it, is not a one-time decision. It's a daily commitment. Every morning when you wake up, you have to remind yourself what you will not allow into your life, whether it's negative people, self-doubt, bad habits, or anything else. It's like setting up a personal security system for your peace of mind and your future. The more consistent you are in this, the stronger you become, and the easier it gets to spot what's worth your time and what's not. When you live with this mindset, something incredible happens. You start attracting better things, people who respect you, opportunities that excite you, and a confidence that makes others notice your glow. It's like you become magnetic, and that magnetic energy comes from the simple but powerful habit of deciding what you will and will not allow. So remember this: you are the boss of your life. You get to decide what stays and what goes. Never allow anything that doesn't serve your growth, your happiness, or your peace. When you live by that rule, nobody can disrespect you, hold you back, or dim your light. You create a life where you are respected, valued, and unstoppable. And that, my friend, is the first step to greatness. Let's talk about something that many people struggle with but rarely admit: how to protect your peace in a world full of chaos and noise. When we say, never allow it, one of the biggest things we have to guard against is negativity, both from others and from within ourselves. Negativity is a silent thief. It sneaks in quietly, stays longer than invited, and then steals your happiness, your motivation, and sometimes even your dreams. Learning to recognize negativity and refuse to allow it into your life is one of the most powerful decisions you can make. It's not always easy, but it's absolutely necessary if you want to live a fulfilling life. Negativity comes in many forms. Sometimes it's the harsh words of a critic. Sometimes it's a friend who only points out the worst in every situation. And sometimes it's the voice inside your own head that says, you can't do this, or you're not good enough. The problem is, if you allow this negativity to settle in, it becomes like a heavy fog that clouds your vision. You stop seeing opportunities. You start focusing only on obstacles. You become stuck in a cycle where your confidence takes a hit and your energy drains away little by little. That's why the second key to never allowing disrespect or harm in your life is to become the gatekeeper of your own thoughts and emotions. You have to watch carefully what you let in. Think about it this way: your mind is like a garden. If you plant weeds and neglect to pull them out, they'll grow wild and choke out the flowers. But if you tend your garden carefully, pulling out the weeds and nurturing the good plants, your garden will flourish. The same goes for your thoughts. If you allow negative thoughts to take root, they'll grow and take over your mindset. But if you learn to recognize those toxic thoughts for what they are and refuse to entertain them, you'll create space for positive, productive, and empowering thoughts that help you grow. One of the hardest parts about this is that negativity often feels familiar. It's easy to fall into old patterns of self-doubt or listen to pessimistic people because it's what you've known. But here's the truth: just because something is familiar doesn't mean it's good for you. Sometimes you have to break away from old habits, old friends, or old ways of thinking to create the life you deserve. That requires courage and discipline. You have to practice saying no to negativity every single day. even when it's coming from your own mind or people close to you. Another challenge is that the world itself often feeds negativity. Social media, news, and even casual conversations can be filled with gossip, complaints, and fear. If you allow yourself to absorb all that negativity without filter, it will affect your mood and your mindset. That's why it's so important to be intentional about what you consume. Choose to surround yourself with positive influences, people who uplift you, and media that inspires you rather than drags you down. This isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about protecting your mental space so that you can think clearly and act wisely. Here's something powerful to remember. When you refuse to allow negativity, you're not just protecting yourself. You're also setting an example for others. People notice when you stay calm and positive in the face of challenges. They respect you more when you don't stoop to gossip or complaining. You become someone others want to be around because your energy is uplifting, not draining. This kind of strength comes from within and is contagious. It creates an environment where success and happiness can thrive. Refusing to allow negativity also means being honest with yourself about what you can control and what you can't. You might not be able to change what other people say or do, but you can control how you respond. You can choose not to react emotionally to every negative comment or situation. Instead, you can choose to respond with calm, confidence, and clarity. This ability to stay composed under pressure is a hallmark of people who succeed and command respect. At the same time, you have to be careful not to confuse refusing negativity with suppressing your feelings. It's okay to feel upset or frustrated sometimes. Those emotions are natural and necessary for healing. But what's not okay is letting those feelings fester and turn into a toxic mindset that drags you down every day. So, part of never allowing negativity is learning healthy ways to process your emotions. Whether that's talking to a trusted friend, writing in a journal, or practicing mindfulness. When you do that, you clear space in your mind and heart to focus on what truly matters. In the end, refusing to allow negativity is about reclaiming your power. It's about standing tall and saying, I will not let anything or anyone steal my joy, my peace, or my dreams. It's a daily battle, but one worth fighting. When you commit to this, you'll find that your life changes for the better. You'll attract better opportunities, better people, and better experiences. You'll become a magnet for positivity, success, and peace. So remember, never allow negativity to take root in your mind or your life. Pull those weeds out every time they appear. Protect your peace like it's your most valuable treasure, because it is. When you do this, you'll live a life filled with hope, energy, and unstoppable strength. And that, my friend, is how you create a life worth living. Let's dive into one of the most powerful truths about life and relationships. Setting boundaries is not just a good idea, it's absolutely necessary for your well-being and happiness. Many people don't realize how important boundaries are until they feel overwhelmed, drained, or taken for granted. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define where you end and someone else begins. They tell others how you expect to be treated, what you will and won't accept, and where your limits lie. Without clear boundaries, you risk losing your sense of self and allowing others to disrespect you or take advantage of your kindness. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect, and it's one of the strongest ways to ensure that toxic people don't bother you again. One reason setting boundaries can be so challenging is that it requires us to be honest with ourselves and with others. Many people fear that if they say no or express what they need, they will lose relationships or be seen as difficult. But here's the reality. When you don't set boundaries, you actually lose yourself. You become a doormat for others' demands, opinions, and moods. You're constantly trying to please everyone else, and that's a fast track to burnout and unhappiness. Setting boundaries isn't about being selfish. It's about valuing yourself enough to say, this is how I need to be treated to stay healthy and happy. When you do that, you create space for genuine relationships that respect your needs and honor your feelings. Another reason boundaries are so important is because they protect your energy. We live in a world full of people who will test your limits, sometimes unknowingly, sometimes on purpose. Toxic people thrive when boundaries are weak because it gives them freedom to manipulate, control, or disrespect you. But when you stand firm on your boundaries, it sends a clear message that you are not an easy target. It shows that you have self-awareness and strength. This kind of strength is magnetic. People start to see you differently, not as someone they can push around, but as someone who values themselves and demands respect. And when you value yourself, you attract people who do the same. Setting boundaries also helps reduce stress and anxiety. When you're constantly worrying about pleasing others or trying to avoid conflict, your mind stays on high alert. You might feel exhausted, overwhelmed, or emotionally drained. But when you clearly communicate your limits and enforce them, you free yourself from that constant mental battle. You stop trying to read others' minds or anticipate their reactions because you've made your position clear. This clarity brings peace of mind and allows you to focus your energy on what truly matters, your goals, your passions, and your well-being. Now, setting boundaries doesn't mean you have to be rigid or unkind. In fact, the best boundaries come from a place of love and respect, not just for yourself, but for others too. When you explain your boundaries calmly and clearly, you give people the chance to understand where you're coming from. This opens the door for healthier communication and stronger relationships. It's about mutual respect, where everyone knows what to expect and feels safe. Boundaries create a space where trust can grow because everyone knows their limits are honored. It's also important to remember that setting boundaries is a skill that takes practice. You might feel uncomfortable or guilty at first, especially if you're used to putting others first all the time. But with each boundary you set, it gets easier and more natural. You start to notice how much better you feel when you respect your own limits. You also start to notice which relationships improve because they respect your boundaries, and which ones may fade away because they don't. That's okay. Not every relationship is meant to stay if it's based on disrespect or imbalance. One practical way to start setting boundaries is to pay attention to how you feel. If you feel uneasy, drained, or resentful after interacting with someone, that's a red flag. It's a signal that your boundaries might be crossed or ignored. Take a moment to identify what you need to say no to or what you need to clarify with that person. Then be honest and direct. You don't have to explain yourself in detail or justify your feelings. A simple, firm statement like, "I'm not comfortable with that," or "I need some space," can go a long way. Remember, you owe it to yourself to protect your peace. At the end of the day, setting boundaries is about creating a life where you feel safe, respected, and valued. It's about showing up as your best self without fear of being drained or disrespected. When you make a habit of setting and enforcing your boundaries, toxic people will naturally stop bothering you. They'll realize you're not someone to mess with. You'll build stronger, healthier relationships with people who appreciate you for who you are. And most importantly, you'll feel more confident and empowered in your own skin. So don't wait until you're burned out or hurt to start setting boundaries. Begin today by recognizing your worth and saying yes to what supports your growth and no to what doesn't. This simple act of self-respect is one of the most powerful steps you can take to protect yourself and create a life full of peace, joy, and respect. One of the biggest challenges when dealing with toxic people is learning how to protect your energy and emotions from their negative influence. Toxic individuals have a way of draining your spirit, leaving you feeling exhausted, anxious, or even depressed. That's why it's essential to master the skill of emotional detachment, not to be confused with being cold or uncaring, but rather a healthy way of maintaining your peace and well-being. Emotional detachment means you don't let the toxic person's behavior or words control your feelings or dictate your mood. You acknowledge what's happening, but you refuse to be pulled into their drama, manipulation, or negativity. When you detach emotionally, you create a shield around yourself. This shield protects you from getting hurt or overwhelmed by toxic behaviors like criticism, gossip, jealousy, or constant complaining. It's like putting on a pair of noise-canceling headphones in a noisy, chaotic place. You hear the noise, but it doesn't affect your inner calm. This is critical because toxic people often thrive on provoking reactions, getting you upset, defensive, or angry. They feed off your energy and use it to control or manipulate you. But when you detach, you deny them that power. You become the one in control of your emotions, not the toxic person. Emotional detachment also helps you see the situation more clearly. When you're deeply involved emotionally, it's easy to get confused, feel overwhelmed, or make decisions based on fear or anger. Detachment allows you to step back and observe what's really going on with a clear mind. You can recognize patterns, understand the motives behind toxic behavior, and decide how to respond wisely. Instead of reacting impulsively, you choose the response that protects your peace and advances your well-being. This clarity is empowering because it breaks the cycle of toxicity and helps you regain control over your life. Another important aspect of emotional detachment is setting mental boundaries. Toxic people can invade your mind with negative thoughts, self-doubt, or guilt. You might replay their hurtful words over and over, or worry excessively about what they think of you. Emotional detachment teaches you to catch those thoughts and replace them with healthier ones. You remind yourself that you are not defined by their opinions or actions. You are not responsible for their behavior or happiness. By controlling your thoughts, you stop the toxic person from having power over your mental and emotional state. Learning emotional detachment also requires patience and practice. It's not always easy to pull back emotionally, especially if the toxic person is close to you, a family member, partner, or friend. Feelings of love, loyalty, or obligation can make it hard to create distance. But that's why emotional detachment is so important. It lets you protect yourself without completely cutting people off. You can still care for them and set limits on how much you allow their negativity to affect you. It's about balance, staying connected without losing your peace. When you practice emotional detachment, you also create space for healing and growth. Toxic relationships often leave emotional wounds that need time and care to heal. By detaching emotionally, you reduce ongoing damage and give yourself the chance to rebuild your confidence, self-worth, and happiness. You learn to focus on what uplifts you rather than what tears you down. This shift in focus is what leads to personal growth and a stronger, healthier mindset. Detachment doesn't mean ignoring or denying your feelings. On the contrary, it means acknowledging your emotions without letting them control you. It means feeling hurt, but not allowing that hurt to define your day or your sense of self. It means setting limits on how much negativity you absorb and choosing to prioritize your peace. This is a powerful tool for anyone dealing with toxic people because it helps you stay grounded, calm, and focused on your own well-being. Ultimately, emotional detachment is a way to reclaim your power. Toxic people want you to feel small, powerless, or out of control. When you detach emotionally, you tell them and yourself that you are bigger than their toxicity. You are stronger than their negativity. You have the ability to protect your peace and choose what affects you. This strength is magnetic. It attracts positive people and repels toxic energy. It gives you the freedom to live your life on your own terms without being dragged down by those who don't have your best interests at heart. So, if you want toxic people to stop bothering you, start by mastering emotional detachment. Create a healthy distance between their drama and your peace. Protect your mind, guard your emotions, and take control of your response. This is not only a survival skill, it's a path to a happier, healthier, and more empowered life. When you learn to detach emotionally, you stop being a victim of toxic behavior and start being the master of your own peace. And that, my friend, is how you win. When it comes to dealing with toxic people, one of the most powerful things you can do is learn the art of setting firm boundaries. Boundaries are like invisible fences that protect your mental, emotional, and even physical space from being invaded by negativity, disrespect, or manipulation. Without clear boundaries, toxic people will walk all over you, push your limits, and drain your energy without any regard for your well-being. Setting boundaries is not about building walls to shut others out. It's about creating healthy limits that keep your peace intact and your life balanced. Setting boundaries starts with knowing your worth. You have to understand that your time, energy, and feelings matter just as much as anyone else's. You deserve respect, kindness, and honesty. When you realize this, it becomes easier to stand up for yourself and say no to behaviors or situations that harm you. Toxic people often take advantage of those who are overly accommodating or afraid to speak up. They might constantly demand your time, expect you to tolerate bad behavior, or make you feel guilty for prioritizing your own needs. But when you set boundaries, you clearly communicate what is acceptable and what is not. This sends a strong message that you will no longer tolerate mistreatment. A boundary can be as simple as deciding not to engage in negative conversations, refusing to answer calls when you don't feel like it, or choosing not to share personal information with someone who uses it against you. It can also mean physically distancing yourself from toxic individuals when needed, whether that's spending less time with them or avoiding certain places or situations. Whatever form it takes, the key is consistency. Boundaries only work if you enforce them regularly. If you set a boundary but then let it slide, toxic people will notice and keep testing your limits. They will push harder, knowing you might give in. But if you stay firm, they will eventually learn that their usual tactics don't work on you anymore. Many people hesitate to set boundaries because they fear conflict, rejection, or being seen as selfish. But here's the truth: boundaries are a form of self-respect and self-care. They protect your mental health and help you avoid burnout. You can't pour from an empty cup. And if toxic people keep draining you, you won't have the energy to live your best life. Setting boundaries is not about being rude or mean. It's about valuing yourself enough to protect your peace. When you do this, you teach others how to treat you. People may not like your boundaries at first, especially if they benefited from your past willingness to tolerate toxic behavior. But over time, they will respect you more because you've shown that you value yourself. Another important part of setting boundaries is learning to say no without feeling guilty. Toxic people are experts at making you feel bad for refusing their demands. They might guilt trip you, make excuses, or try to manipulate your emotions to get their way. But a clear, calm no is one of the most powerful tools you have. You don't owe anyone an explanation beyond that. Saying no is a way of taking control of your life and protecting your time and energy. When you say no to toxic demands, you say yes to yourself and your well-being. It's also crucial to surround yourself with supportive people who respect your boundaries. Toxic people thrive when you isolate yourself or lack support. But when you have friends, family, or mentors who encourage your self-respect and hold you accountable, it becomes easier to maintain boundaries. These positive relationships serve as a reminder that you deserve respect and kindness, reinforcing your resolve to protect your peace. Remember, setting boundaries is not a one-time event, but an ongoing practice. As you grow stronger and more confident, your boundaries may need to shift or become firmer. That's okay. It's part of learning how to live a healthier, happier life. The more you protect your energy and time by setting boundaries, the less power toxic people have over you. You create a safe space for yourself where positivity, growth, and peace can flourish. In the end, setting boundaries is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself. It's a declaration that you refuse to be a victim of toxicity. Instead, you choose to honor your worth, protect your peace, and live life on your terms. Toxic people might not like it, and they may push back, but your peace is worth standing firm. When you master this skill, you'll notice a profound change, not just in how others treat you, but in how you feel about yourself. You'll walk taller, speak clearer, and live freer. And that freedom is priceless. One of the most important things to understand when dealing with toxic people is the power of walking away. Walking away isn't just about physically leaving a situation or a person. It's about emotionally detaching yourself and refusing to invest your energy in negativity. Sometimes, no matter how much you try to set boundaries, explain yourself, or offer kindness, toxic people keep coming back with the same behavior. When that happens, the smartest move you can make is to simply walk away, not out of anger or defeat, but out of self-respect and wisdom. Walking away sends a clear message that you value yourself more than the chaos they bring into your life. It shows that you are in control of your peace and happiness, and that you will not allow anyone else to steal it from you. Toxic people feed off your reactions. They thrive on drama, arguments, and the emotional energy you give them. When you walk away, you cut off their supply. You refuse to engage in their negativity, which takes away their power to hurt or manipulate you. This is not about being cold or uncaring. It's about being smart and protecting your emotional health. Many people struggle with the idea of walking away because they fear being seen as weak or afraid. They worry about what others will think or say, and they feel guilty about leaving relationships or situations unfinished. But walking away is actually a sign of strength, not weakness. It takes courage to recognize when something is harmful, and even more courage to remove yourself from it. It means you're choosing your mental and emotional well-being over the need to please everyone else or fix things that are beyond your control. When you walk away, you reclaim your power and show that you won't be trapped in a toxic cycle. Walking away also creates space for growth. Toxic people often keep you stuck in a negative pattern because their presence fills your time and energy. But when you step back, you give yourself the opportunity to heal, reflect, and grow without constant interference. You can focus on building healthy relationships, pursuing your goals, and living a life filled with positivity and purpose. Walking away doesn't mean you ignore problems or responsibilities. It means you choose to prioritize yourself over destructive influences. Another reason walking away is powerful is that it forces toxic people to face their own behavior. When you remove yourself, they lose the easy target they used to control or manipulate. Sometimes this leads to a wake-up call for them. They realize their actions have consequences and may even try to change. But even if they don't change, walking away protects you from the ongoing damage. You no longer have to be the person who tolerates disrespect or mistreatment because you made the decision to put your well-being first. It's important to recognize that walking away doesn't always mean cutting someone out of your life forever. Sometimes it means taking a step back to create healthy distance until both parties can change or grow. Other times, it means ending the relationship entirely if it's too toxic to repair. Whatever the situation, the key is that walking away is a choice you make for your own peace, not to punish or hurt others. It's about loving yourself enough to say, this is not good for me, and I deserve better. Many people underestimate how much strength it takes to walk away from toxic people, especially if those people are family members, close friends, or coworkers. The fear of loneliness, conflict, or change can hold you back, but staying in toxic situations often causes more harm than good, draining your energy and harming your self-esteem. Walking away, even when it's difficult, opens the door to freedom. It frees you from the emotional weight of negativity and allows you to surround yourself with people who uplift and support you. The decision to walk away can be the turning point in your life. It can be the moment when you stop being a victim of toxic behavior and start becoming the architect of your own happiness. It teaches you valuable lessons about self-respect, boundaries, and the importance of mental health. When you walk away, you reclaim control over your life and create room for positivity and growth. You stop letting toxic people dictate how you feel and instead choose to live on your terms. In the end, walking away is a powerful act of self-love. It's a statement that you will no longer tolerate negativity, disrespect, or harm. It's an act of courage that sets you free and opens the path to a healthier, happier life. So remember, the next time you find yourself caught in the web of toxicity, don't be afraid to walk away. Because sometimes walking away is the only way to truly win.